My name is Mallory. I'm doing my presentation slash proposal on the best quote-unquote and worst quote-unquote education systems in the world. So what I did is a lot of research as to the best and the worst, and kind of focus on the polar opposites. So I found out that the most educational attainment and cognitive skills come from schools in Finland and South Korea. So I have the top 20 here. So I'm just going to do 19th and 20th was Slovakia and Russia. But Brazil is actually the country that I concentrated on because they actually have one of the worst education systems in the world. So I kind of just did a lot of research into what makes my actual presentation is about what I think the audience think makes a good and bad education system. So I kind of like debunked the myths and we went as we went. So like, for instance, Finland, every teacher that teaches there is hired, they have to be the top 10 in their class. They are required to have a master's degree in education. They spend 30% less per student than the United States. And another fun fact about Finland is after you have a baby, they pay 3 years maternity leave, and then do subsidized daycare until the child is of kindergarten age. The government pays for subsidized food at the schools, medical care, counseling, and taxis, which I'm guessing is kind of like our bus system and healthcare for all students and parents. The government pays parents per child until the child is 17. In first grade, they're learning Finnish, math, science, music, art, sports, religion, and textile handcrafts. And by the 5th grade, they're learning biology, geography, history, physics, and chemistry. They don't take any standardized tests until they're seniors in high school. They can take a standardized test in 6th grade if they want to, but the teacher has to consent, and none of the scores are published. There's a good quote here by a teacher and principal. It's nonsense. We know much more about these children than these tests could ever tell us, which I thought that was pretty awesome. And then I kind of switched gears and went to Brazil, where the average years, people in Brazil have an average years of schooling is 7.3. Under half of the residents in Finland have finished high school. 12% of the workers that work there have a college degree, which is crazy because they have one of the top industrial economies in the world. 13 million, or 8.6% of the population, are illiterate. Teachers in Brazil get tenure after 3 years, and after that they cannot be fired, ever, which is crazy. So what I kind of went through was like, oh, you'd think teachers in Finland make a lot of money, and they don't. Teachers in Finland make roughly $37,000 a year, but their cost of living is 30% higher than the United States, which is crazy. Teachers in Mexico make $400 a month, which is, I mean, not in Mexico, in Brazil, which is crazy. So I kind of debunked, I went through, I was like, okay, well, you think maybe teaching salaries, if they were higher, education quality would be higher, which is false. You would think the more the country pays per student, the better the student will perform, which is false. You would think that, okay, well, that's as far as I got on my slideshow, but you would think that the smaller the classroom size, the better the education, which isn't necessarily true. It kind of came down a lot to nutrition and health of the children, poverty levels, and the parents of the children, and how involved they are and how involved they were in their education. So it's just debunking a lot of myths about what makes education good and bad, who's getting good and bad education. And if you're wondering, the United States placed 17th, and they spend the 4th most per student on learning, and they spend the most for college. No, 4th in the world on per student spending, and they spend the most in the world for students that are in college, which is crazy. Just found out a lot of interesting things. Yeah. Cool. Yay.